Okay, hello everyone, it's Lennon. I want to participate in the One Deck Gone Wild tag, and I don't know, for some reason I wanted to use the Noble Art Tarot, which is a creation of my own. And I'm kind of excited to dive into some of these questions because some of them are very creative, and it gives me a chance to I don't know, play even further with the deck that I created. And I think that that is a beautiful concept, is to take one deck and ask it all these questions. It's a very kind of a very creative way to deep dive with your deck. So, and you know, if you're here and you haven't seen any other videos with this tag, go check the tag out. I have been loving the responses of it. So here is the Noble Art Tarot. I've put it in order. It's a very pre-Raphaelite inspired deck, and I just love it. I love this deck so much. And now that it is like available for sale on Make Playing Cards, I got my prototype copy, and I've just been loving it. It's just so good because it's got some of my favorite art in it. And I was just so surprised that when I love that Two of Wands. When I go through the deck, it just inspires me so much with new possibilities for each card meaning and things. So I love it for what it is. So that's the why, I guess you could say, why I chose this deck, because I love it so much and I wanted to give its chance in the spotlight. Favorite set of minors. Let's see. I think, let's put these over here. I think that would be the eights, because I really love the eights. Let me pull them out for a second. Okay. So, I know you can't see them, but move these up a little so you can, all four. There. The Eight of Cups was such a fabulous painting. It's like Rendezvous on the Stairs, and it's with this, possibly this lady in waiting and a knight, and they have this little rendezvous, and there's this very apprehensiveness to this card that I didn't think was present in the Rider-Waite-Smith, but it definitely is. And when I saw this image, I thought, oh my God, this is somebody literally walking up a spiral staircase, and they have this knight and they're present with this knight, but there's a little doubt, a little apprehension. So the way she's posed here, it just makes me think that she's going to keep going up those spiral staircase, up that spiral staircase. So that's really fun. And then this is a beautiful image of these two people, and they're like doing the books, right? Doing the books of their business. And it's just so, it just fit with the Eight of Pentacles so much, that they are actively working on their business, but actually doing the bookkeeping as well. And I don't know, I kind of like that take, you know, that it's the work, but it's also, you know, the work inside the work, inside the work. And then the Eight of Swords is, of course, Andromeda, and the beautiful dragon here, and she's chained up, right? Because she's gonna get rescued, and there's a whole story of the myth there, but she's actively chained up, and I guess the myth would go on the rescue aspect of Andromeda, but to me, the ways in which and the reasons in which she gets imprisoned or chained up is this subterfuge kind of a thing. It's like a trick. It's like bait. And so technically, I don't think that she's really chained up, like she couldn't get out. She could, but she's the bait. And actively, because she wants to see him. So anyway, I just thought that was a perfect rendition for the Eight of Swords. And then one of my absolute favorite cards in this deck is this Pegasus card. The Eight of Wands is one of my favorite cards in a tarot deck. And of course, normally you would see just 8 rods flying through the air. But to me, it is about swiftness. But it's about swift decisions and swift encounters with inspiration, how fast they come about, right? And in the bottom of this card, there's like land, right? But it's very far away. And the way she's posed on this Pegasus with kind of almost side saddle here, it makes me think that she's looking down almost in wait for the right spot to jump off of the horse to be able to land, superhero style at the bottom here. But she's got to do it at the precise moment and make that decision in the blink of an eye. And I mean, Pegasus is just doing his job, but flying her around. But it's just one split second, and she's just going to have to take the plunge and jump right off. And that's the essence to me of the Eight of Wands. So there was my favorite minors. Okay, now of course, the last card in this deck is one that makes me relax, because this is a self-portrait of the painter. I believe this is Hunt. I think this is Holman Hunt. If I'm remembering. I have a list of the art used for this deck on my Ko-fi page if you want to go download it. And that gives you a title and artist for every single card, just to give you like an art exploration. But this, for some reason, he reminds me of Bob Ross. I mean, not necessarily the beard, but just his facial expression. And it reminds me to have a friend with the trees and little squirrel friends and, pea pods of the world and vast landscapes and vistas and, forests. And it just reminds me about nature, but the way Bob Ross would talk about nature, like in a very friendly, uplifting way. And so his face reminds me of that. So he reminds me to relax because he reminds me of Bob Ross. Favorite rendition of the color blue. Let's see. There's probably not a lot of blue. Oh, I've got to pick her. I am so sorry. Oh. This is based off of a Shakespeare play called Measure for Measure, but it's also a poem by Tennyson called Mariana that speaks of this play. And Mariana is this young woman who's getting married and has a dowry, but the dowry gets her father is bringing her a dowry on a ship. It's on a ship. Maybe possibly her husband, I keep saying that. Her father was a mariner of some sort, but it gets dumped overboard. And so she doesn't have a dowry. So her betrothed actually leaves her. So she has to spend a life as an unmarried woman. And she's sexually frustrated. She's frustrated with not being able to have the life that she envisioned her to have. And there's I wish I could have it like I wanted, but it's not going to happen like that. And there's just this like melancholy with her that I just love. And the blue here is the blue velvet. I love brocade fabrics. I love jewel toned velvets. It's just beautiful. If I could have a dress like this. Oh, somebody get on that. But anyway, now this very much could be that she's sewing this tapestry here and her back is hurting. But it's a very real, there's something very real about this painting and heartbreaking to me, of women roles and how to have a certain life you would have had to got married. And I don't know, the blue of her velvet here is like my favorite thing. favorite thing of this deck. Favorite representation of a card. Now, I did say that I loved the Eight of Wands. That was one of them. But I think I'm gonna... Oh, I love this because Medea is like one of my high loves in terms of myth. She's with me always. I guess you could say she's very much like a deity to me. And this rendition of her is very, very sinister. I love this artist's way of painting fabrics and all these alchemy black art books. And she's poisoning the Jason and his bride, his homewrecker back there. But for it to be a Knight of Cups, it's very actionable cups, right? It's very, instead of going the normal, I'm in my heart space, I'm in my feels, it goes more into the sinister aspect of the Knight of Cups, like, I'm going to poison you, because this is coming from a very vengeful place. This is coming from a very hateful place, because I am so wrapped up in my emotions, but all I can see is my hate. And it was very visceral when this image came up. So I love this rendition of this card for this deck. Medea and her revenge poison. Okay. Nostalgia. What card makes you nostalgic? Well, if y'all wanted to see what I look like in a card, it would probably have to be the Ace of Wands. Yeah, here she is. The Dancer. The Dancer for sure. This reminds me of me. I had a beautiful dance-filled childhood, I'll say. I didn't have lessons. Because we were too poor to afford lessons, but I would dance in my backyard in our we had a small tree forest in our backyard, and I had a ritual tree, and there was a lot of dancing, a lot of me with my Walkman, wanting this tulle fabrics on me and chiffon fabrics and twirling, lots and lots of twirling. And this just does send me back to that time in my childhood where all I wanted to do was dance. Shifts your perspective. A card that shifts your perspective. Okay. Let's see. I do like this Six of Wands. This it tells you of, to me, like victory, because that's a victory card. It's very, there is the moments before, like or the moments right after you have won something, you have accomplished something, that elation, but also that I'm the man, like I am a boss bitch babe, like the confidence right after you've done something that is an accomplishment. I love this face of this woman. She just reminds me of that kind of, I don't know, overconfidence. Like, yeah, I just did that. I did just do that. So it's a little touch different than, I guess the normal, just, I won and I'm happy. Also, Pandora's Box for Four of Pentacles. Very, let me turn him over because he's like dominating the picture here. Which is also another great card, Nine of Wands. I mean, his face, he just looks like a starving artist, like he's got his next best idea and he just can't get it out. Like he's missing that one color ochre, and he just is going insane. It actually reminds me a lot of Baudelaire. There's definitely Baudelaire energy, but his eyes are what's grabbing the camera, so I have to turn him over. So, but the Four of Pentacles here is Pandora's Box, and for something that would normally to me make me think of misery and holding on to what we have too tightly and not really wanting to be altruistic. I love this take. That we want to keep the hope that's in the bottom of Pandora's box all to ourselves, but also the curiosity of the Four of Pentacles. I think that we only reason we're holding it so tight is because we did the research and we were curious about certain things, and then we were actually able to obtain something like a memento or something from that curiosity. We want to keep it. We want to keep it tight and not kind of like it's our secret, right? Like this is my secret and I don't want to share it type of thing. So I like that take. But anyway, let's move on. Favorite animal. There are only pigeons, I think, in this deck. So I'm going to skip that question. Heartbreak. Let's see. This is a heartbreaking card. This is the ultimate, like I said, altruism card. It's very, I don't know. It's very beautiful, very sad. And I can very much path work with this card. I can be on the steps of this palace here. This big, I'm envisioning this to be like maybe like a public library almost. Not that they had those much, but like a public building of some sort, like maybe even a municipal building of some sort, and they're sitting there all day looking for some alms, you know. So beautiful, but also the just the melancholy of some of the muses that the pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood used, like her face, like look at her face, like. This painting's called, I forgot her name. Something in the basil. Like she's coveting her basil. Seems very apropos for Seven of Pentacles. But she's just so sad, you know? And some of these images are, like this is I don't believe, this isn't a Brotherhood of Peace, but this is a perfect Two of Swords image. And it is very heartbreaking. More so than the Three of Swords, which is Demeter. Which looks a lot like the Medea painting. It's by the same artist, but this is Demeter. Sad about Persephone, right? You see the green? I love it. So this is the sadness of Demeter. I loved it so much. So now there are a couple of travel questions in the prompts. And of course, I'll leave the prompts below, like all the rest of the videos about this, but for this tag. But I'm kind of mushing these travel questions together, like where's the deck from, how old does the deck kind of feel it is, and where does the deck want to go, right? So these are very much travel questions. But to me, this being a pre-Raphaelite deck, I feel that it's late 20s, right? It's trying to find itself, but let's get to some that you haven't seen. It is trying to find itself, and it's probably from like a country town in England, like Gloucestershire or Northumberland, or even maybe possibly the Lake District, right? But it longs for Victorian London. It longs to be in the city. It wants to be in the city, and I don't know, it wants to be in the hustle and bustle of everything. And a meal that this deck would love is possibly a Victorian picnic, like very handheld. This is like a older 20s gentleman almost, and it likes to be on the move. It likes to be traveling in the coach, and it's very, you know, cold beefs and tea and wine and cordials and cakes and small biscuits, you know, scones. I love this Seven of Swords. She just looks sneaky, but also scared, right? Plus her hair, like, that's my hair. So, Love it. Some of these I just love so much. Like this 9. It's 9 and 10. Like, she's sleeping and her face suggests she's having a nightmare, right? But then his ass is out. Like, day after a night out. You know? He's out. So, look, there's my very much Joan of Arc there. He's my Cardinal Richelieu from the Three Musketeers. I mean, you guys, if you've been following me for a while, you know I love Alexander Dumas. But he's my Cardinal Richelieu. You know? Just very... love her. Very, very cool. Anyway, so... Victorian picnic, it wants Victorian London. It wants to be in the city, you know? And I don't know. I just love it. I love that energy about it, you know? Foggy, dirty, gritty London. But the deck is from a small country village in England. I haven't shown you any of the majors. Deck as... cards as art. Of course, I would love this image. This is a very popular image of the Oracle of Delphi. I love all the majors. Let's see. I do love her, the Lady of Shalott. Some of the more popular ones I really, really love. Like the Devil. I mean, yes. I want that like hanging up in my bedroom. Or possibly on an altar that's filled with snake skins. You know, snake skins and fish bones and like very gritty, like a very gritty altar. Like I would definitely have this there. Sodom and Gomorrah. I don't know if I would really have that in my house. I don't know. So, yeah. Let's see. Maybe him. Where the hell would I hang him at? Let's see. The deck's favorite book. Probably Shakespeare sonnets. Possibly the sonnets of Shakespeare. When I consider everything that grows, holds in perfection but a little moment, that this huge stage presenteth naught but shows, whereon the stars in secret influence comment, when I perceive that men, as plants increase, cheered and checked even by the self-same sky, vaunt in their youthful sap at height decrease, and wear their brave state out of memory. Then the conceit of this inconstant stay sets you most rich in youth before my sight, where wasteful time debateth with decay, to change your day to youth to sullied night, and all in war with time for love of you, and he takes from you I engraft you new. It was just, you know, so, you know, a little freestyle for you. But possibly, because a lot of, Shakespeare, what is influenced by the the other way around. The pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood was influenced by a lot of Shakespeare. They're like love, very bohemian, right? I do find there is a bohemian nature to this deck, but the ultimate bohemian for me is Baudelaire, Charles Baudelaire. I love him so much. I don't know what it is about Baudelaire, but he's my favorite poet. And this is a very beautiful edition that has the French and the English. Love of Deceit. Yes. The Clock. Impassive God. He was so good at yelling at you. And he was so emboldened and impassioned. I just love him. So, Charles Baudelaire. So, this is very poetry, right? This is very, I don't know. Bien de siècle poetry, right? End of the century. What would this deck collect? I believe it would collect dried flowers. It would have a pressed flower collection, but also dried flower collection, like flowers in vases, dried flowers that are just like in vases, and they're just old and crunchy, right? But they're still beautiful. It's something about the decay, right? Like I very much feel like this would have this sort of decaying beauty about it, in terms of aesthetics, like very bohemian, but decayed bohemian. Now that is an aesthetic. That is an aesthetic right there. Oh, so that's definitely what it would collect. Let's see. But also favorite scent was another prompt, and I believe that because of the dried flowers, its favorite scent would probably be roses. This deck definitely belongs in like a rose garden. And roses, rose petals, just this very freesia floral scents is what its favorite scents are. Fresh air, fresh rain, you know. Look at that. Just there's so much freshness to this deck. What is its superpower? Possibly time travel. Look at Tristan and Isolde there. Oh, love it so much. Just its ability to shift between time periods and still hold some modernity. You know, it's just there's just that would be its superpower, is time travel. Now, I already said who the deck was in love with. It's in love with Baudelaire, but its daddy, I believe that this deck's daddy would be Oscar Wilde. Definitely Oscar Wilde. Not necessarily bohemian, but around, you know? I don't know. Like, Baudelaire is its lover, for sure. But Oscar Wilde would be the daddy. Oh, I love these prompts so much. Which card represents you? Well, the Ace of Wands, like I said, the dancing queen, minus ABBA, is probably, oh, I like her. She does look like me. She reminds me of me. Not the angel aspect to her. Oh, and the Lady of Shalott. Many a times I have, ever since reading Anne of Green Gables, I wanted to be a Lady of Shalott. There's something very, something about this deck that makes me want to be called mistress. Like a mistress of a manor, you know? Like I want to be the mistress of the manor, but I want to have like this dwelling in the bottom of the house where I do all my spells and witchcraft. No one would ever know, you know? So there would be this underlying witchiness to the manor house. You know, have herbs and stuff everywhere, rose gardens, and it would all be very nice and manicured, but I would have, you know, my initiate stationed about, and we would get up to some things on the full and new moons, you know? I don't know. I do love this Judgment card. Now another question, another prompt is, what is its favorite tarot deck? Well, I don't know about a tarot deck, but I do want to shout out that I believe that its favorite deck would actually be a deck that I don't have. And it is the Hellenic Oracle by our very own Thea over at Garden Goddess Tarot. And I will leave a link to a video she's done on that deck below. But it's a deck that is on my wish list, and it will be mine one day. But we share a lot of the same kind of art in these, and I believe that they would very much be very good, like, very good friends, possibly even siblings. Now, before I show you the surprise, a surprise that I was going to wait until the end to share, let's do the 3-card Bed, Wed, and Behead. You have to shuffle very, very good, and then pick 3 cards and figure out which one you would bed, which one you would marry, which one you would off with their head. You know, there's so many decks I want to do this with. I want to do this with my Bosch Tarot. You know, I think that would be fun. I want to do it with possibly the Barbara Walker Tarot. I think that would be hilarious. Maybe even the Wild Unknown. You know, because that's got a lot of pets in it. I can see like I can kind of see what kind of aesthetics would bloom out when you ask it some of these questions. So that's cool. All right. Ooh, I love her. She's my initiate queen. Like, ooh, this is hard. Oh, okay. Four of Wands, Four of Pentacles, and Knight of Wands. Okay. I couldn't marry Pandora. She's way too distracted. Okay. But because she unleashes evil, I would probably have to behead her. So I would just have to, like, in a very, I'll hold you while you die way, you know? Like, you gotta die, bitch, because you're about to unleash all the evil. But I will hold you in my arms and we'll lay her in this meadow while the poison kicks in. Okay, so I've killed Pandora. I would have to bed her. Because she's my ultimate, like, she's just standing there all regal like a goddess, and I want a piece of that. But Four of Wands is very, there is already kind of like a wedding happening here with the Four of Wands. So this is going to be like my ultimate fairy tale wedding. You know, ultimate Four of Wands moment. So I'm going to wed the Four of Wands here and bask in the wedding atmosphere. It's kind of like, this is like the moment where the wedding would be greater than the marriage. And I would bed the Knight of Wands, which I probably would the regular Knight of Wands. I don't know. He just has a good air about him in the Rider-Waite-Smith. But yeah, definitely. But, you know, the problem with her, I probably couldn't get her off of her post. Like, she's very much posted here. Like, this is her job, you know, like the guard. And I would have to do some really fancy wooing to get her to leave her station. I don't know. Okay, so there was wed, bed, and behead. All right, now, one of the prompts was, what would you change about this deck? And there have been a few cards that I did change. And I want to share them because if there's a need or a want, I will put a replacement for the new cards that I've chosen on Make Playing Cards for sale. If there's 15 new cards, like basically it's like an expansion / replacement card set for this deck. And so if you want that, that can be put up for sale if there's a need for it. But let me show you what I got going here. Okay, so as far as the changes that I've made 2 minor arcana changes. Let's do it this way. So the Hierophant and Judgment. Now, I do love these cards. Nothing about these replacements makes me hate on the existing images, but I do like this Hierophant, but for some reason, it doesn't, it's kind of like the outlier. It's been the outlier card for this deck for a while for me. And when I found this image, it very much looked like the Hierophant from a different angle. Like almost like the Hierophant's up here by the pulpit. And this could be a marriage of some kind or an initiation, a knighthood, but it still makes me think of the Hierophant over here with the 2 supplicants praying to praying here on their knees. So it's just for me, a better take. And I think I'm going to replace the Hierophant card with this new image. And I haven't decided about this. This is an actual pre-Raphaelite image, and it's this very popular muse of them with these angels back in the background. But for some reason, you can't really see that because of the word. But you could get the same type of feeling, the vibe. But I may keep this Judgment. But this one is going to be, also I added the E in this for people that want the E in Judgment. But it really doesn't matter. So those are the two major Arcana cards that I have put in the replacement. We got the Page of Cups. I chose this little girl with like in a potion room. I just think there's something very ethereal about her and that I love, but there's something more cups with this image that I think fits better. So I changed that. This Four of Cups is beautiful. This boy looks to be throwing a tantrum, but possibly napping. I just don't know. But I changed it to her because kind of like the other initiate looking guards, right? This looks very like she doesn't care. There's an aspect to her that just is stationed there, but she's still kind of like, she's over it. She's gonna nap if she wants to nap. And I think it goes more with the vibe of the whole deck than this. And then this was actually pointed out to me by a friend that this, I mean, with it being the only person of color in the deck, it just kind of really stands out. And I didn't want anyone to feel uncomfortable when using this deck. And this card did give me a lot of grief. So I chose this image because it kind of looks like this person's giving you the flowers. So you're the other, you're the other recipient in this Six of Cups aspect. And I did actually prefer this image over this. Now this is a very old Baroque looking image of fighting, Let's go down a little. It's a very Baroque looking image. And I don't know, there was something about it that doesn't fit with the rest of the deck. So I chose her. She's a very beautiful, this is a very beautiful card for the Five of Swords because with her biting this flower, it makes me think that she's trying so hard not to say what she wants to say, and which just fits with the Five of Swords to me so much. Instead of it being, very defeating and fighting, it's more about sedating oneself, knowing when to shut up, even if you want to lash out. Now, I do love Tristan and Isolde here in the Two of Pentacles, but there's a measuring aspect to the Two of Pentacles that makes me want to put that in there. Like there's a weighing, which options are better, like going through your options. And this just is two lovers, right? A very Two of Cups, not Two of Pentacles, right? So that, I don't know, it could fit, but I love this. There's a measuring with this image. I don't know, they're taking their time to figure out the problem and come up with a solution. And there's like string aspect, like there's a lot more weighing out the options in this card than in the Tristan and Isolde version. So that's part of the replacement. Love the Six of Swords because it very much goes on Rider-Waite-Smith. So I probably will keep this, but I've always loved the Tempest. So there's this very much like looking out. She's actually looking at a ship, but we could say that this is looking out to the greener pastures, right? This is happening on a boat, very much looks like the original Rider-Waite-Smith image. But if we wanted a very more, or a more pre-Raphaelite image, then I would probably pick the Tempest here. And then the Four of Swords, it's very white. It's very bright. It's not as subdued in its paint strokes. So I chose this image, which is someone doing, you know, working on a tapestry. And there's a ceremony happening here because she's making this tapestry. Like almost ritualistic. There's a ritual to this. And I like that aspect of the Four of Wands. Instead of it just being about celebration, it's very much could just be a ritual thing that, you know, one does. And that goes more to the pre-Raphaelite as well. The aesthetic, I would say. Six of Wands, again, I talked about her in length. I love her confidence. I love her air. But I didn't put the circle. I didn't put the circle in this deck. And it had to have a place. So I picked this. Again, there's a ritual happening in the Wands, I believe. And with the Six, there's victory, but this is ritualistic victory. This is, she has, her potion is done, right? She's done all she can. She's put all the components in, and it's done, and it's finished, you know, or possibly almost finished. Here's the Ace of Swords. I love this image. There's a melancholy with this. There's almost an eavesdropping nature to this Ace of Swords, which I really, really liked for the Ace. But I chose this Valkyrie image, which is very ethereal image of someone sitting on top of a castle with their Valkyrie helmet and sword. And the take of the Valkyrie, and possibly even the Fury, reminds me of the sword suit. So I like that. Even though this is more of the aesthetic of the deck, I don't know, the Valkyrie, I loved it. Now this image I love, but it's grainy and it's very distorted, which goes with the Five of Pentacles essence. But I really love Cinderella for the Five of Pentacles. I mean, how great is Cinderella? I mean, look, she's in her own little corner. I love it. Oh, covered with soot. Again, this was like the Five of Swords, I believe, where we're just seeing this like very Baroque type painting, and it doesn't really go with the vibe, right? A lot of fives are getting changed. I like this image. We're getting dragged here. We're getting dragged around, and that just goes to show of the, like we're trying to work together, but we're having to drag it out of people, kind of a thing. Love this Four of Swords. I really, really do. But there's something about this Sleeping Beauty image. Like, she's very sleepy, right? It can fit. There's something about this Sleeping Beauty image with her, like, little lady in waiting that goes better. That looks almost Rider-Waite-Smith better, you know? And then lastly is the actual Two of Cups, which we talked about, you know, being this like lover-esque card. And I love this image of In the Storm. But for some reason, this was another type of a pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood image that I didn't include in the deck that should be there. And I feel that between this nymph and this sailor here. So, okay. So those are the changes that I've made in the deck. So it's a 15 card replacement for some of the cards that, you know, I wanted to change. I may keep the originals. I may not. I may put these instead of the other ones that come in the deck, that come with the one that you would buy. Now that it's on Make Playing Cards, I can't go in and change these specific cards. They won't let me. I would have to rename it and do all kinds of stuff. So I would just put a 15 card replacement on, you know, for sale if you guys are interested. So y'all would have to let me know about that if you like these cards better than the others. And that was definitely something that I've changed about the deck. Okay, and I think that's all the prompts I'm going to handle today with this particular deck. This, like I said before, this deck is Noble Art Tarot. It is available on my Make Plain cards. I've got a few decks on there that you can go and browse. Links will be below. Thank you so much for everyone who's participated already. I am binge watching these tags. They're so good, and so many of the decks that were chosen have such good have such cool, engaging personalities that I just find that I love so much. So, all right. One deck goes wild, 5 of Wands. Of course it is. Oh, much love, everyone.